Hey people, I'm going to be starting in just a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to get started on this right away. I'm going to turn desktop audio down a little bit. Apparently I'm way too loud. That's okay. So right now I've got my computer plugged in. Just going to test to make sure everything's working still. We've got the Linux one moment. Okay, so we've got that I'm staring at IOTX. Anyways, we've got Brave and we've got all this other stuff installed on this computer. This is Ubuntu, one of the later versions. I tested to make sure that I was able to actually take a look at the various features that I wanted to add to it. So this is pretty much set up. We're just going to test to make sure this thing is still working and make sure my stream is functional. We're not streaming through this, obviously. We're streaming through my main PC because I'm going to be swapping out the hard drive. I'm going to be swapping out the hard drive, and I'm going to be switching over to Windows. I picked up a new hard drive, and I've got the USB drive here, and I'm going to be downloading Windows, installing it real quick, and we're going to check the audio real quick here. So while I'm waiting for that to load, which I don't think anything is happening. I think I'm having audio issues. Great. Perfect. Just make sure audio is working on some YouTube channel. I don't even care which one. Okay. And it keeps. Oh, that's super loud. I'm so sorry, folks. Okay, but obviously this thing is working. We're able to run. We've got information going. Okay. So. Okay. So the plan is to shut this down. And you can tell we have Ubuntu running. I've got it set up how I like it, and I'm not going to change anything about it. I'm not going to format the drive. I'm not going to do anything like that. We're going to just power this sucker off. And I'm going to unplug it. I already have it set up, so I'm going to do it this way, where I use this box as sort of a way to just take it apart. As long as you stay in contact with it and remember to keep your hands on it, you're not going to have any issues. These are retention, captive retention. Welcome to the stream. We're going to see how far we can get tonight. Pretty straightforward. We're just switching over to Windows. But I wanted to show how quick and easy it is to swap drives. Excuse me. It's 6:06 right now. Just for my own reference. And I can't open things. Fat fingers, dude. Okay. So we've got our drive all set to go. That's ready to go. Yeah, so I'm just going to swap this out real quick. How you normally do it is you just use the tool, put it in the flat end. This pops open a little bit and gives us a little bit of space to work with. Twist. And it's retained by magnets. So that's step one. And we've got this cable here. Let's see if we can get that on screen. Okay, now we can take this off. So there's the keyboard button. And we've got this hard drive. Hard drive is already being retained. So I'm just going to swap that out real quick. And done. Well, not done, but it's literally that simple. That was everything I needed to do in order to switch hard drives and not have to do any sort of weird formatting or dual booting or anything like that. A little overkill, but if you want a private operating system, can't get much more private than not being plugged in. Okay, so that's all set. Now I'm just going to throw this back in the case. This other one in the new case, and that's going to be, I'll label that. But like if you're in multiple classes, this one's going to be actually no, the other one's going to be Ubuntu. I'll label the other case. But next, we just go ahead and set this in there. Get that on the hinge. It's on the hinge. And, sorry, it's difficult to show this because you need both your hands and you need to be staring at it. So I'm just going to pop the cable back in. Cable's back in. Now, go ahead and close that up. With the magnetic retention, it makes it super easy. Then we'll just go ahead and close her back up. And what I'll do is I'll show that it's a new hard drive in there. That was what, 4 minutes? 4 minutes so far. We'll just go around twice, be a little erotic about it. Okay, that's done. Set this off to the side. Open it up, make sure everything, the keyboard's working and everything. But it will say that there's no drive. Default boot missing. Okay, not an issue. That's expected. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, and the keyboard is working, so we just say F1 and everything's working. I'm going to power it off for now. I'm going to close it, set it off to the side just so I don't have too much going on with the mouse, and then we'll switch over to this. I'm going to install Windows real quick. Obviously with this, so I've got this drive, just an old drive. I'm going to install it on with Balena Etcher. So we'll just show the same process that I did for Linux, only this time with Windows. And that way maybe I can run some stuff, right? So we've got, it was drive W. So now I'm just going to try to download Windows. Stop doing that. Oh, so welcome, Hikaru. I'm just installing Windows on this PC. I'm showing like one of the key features that why I bought this laptop. It's real easy to swap out drives, and I'm going to be swapping out the drive again later, going back to Linux. But for now, I'm just going to be showing one of the key features of this particular laptop is that it's very easy to swap out things and upgrade. So especially hard drives and the RAM. So, but for now, I just have to I just need to download Windows with an ISO. Guess we'll download this tool. Sure. It's done quickly. Yeah, I'm going to use this primarily for programming and for working remotely. The goal of using this laptop is to be able to swap between multiple operating systems and not have to deal with dual booting. I mean, dual booting isn't that difficult to deal with, but this is just way cleaner in my opinion. And it's literally, you don't have access to the other hard drive stuff, so it's kind of nice from a security perspective. I already did an installation of Ubuntu on this one. It's on this drive, which I just took out. It took me less than 5 minutes to swap out the drive, so kind of tells you how easy it is to get into this laptop. It even comes with its own little spudger. Yeah, exactly. No, I don't want to upgrade this PC. I want to create an installation media. So we're just going to go ahead and USB flash drive. Yep, USB flash drive. I've got a bunch of stuff open. So W was the one. So we're going to download Windows 10, get it on this drive, go through the boot sequence, install Windows onto this laptop, and then get a couple things running, do some benchmarks, and then swap back from the Windows, and then swap back to Linux, and then swap back to Windows. I paid for the laptop using, I made some money using cryptocurrency. I exchanged it for fun. But I sold off some of the cryptocurrency that I had earned, and yeah, paid for the laptop. Yeah, SHIB, SHIB made me some money. I'll put it that way. Not a ton, but like it was enough to make a difference. It bought me a laptop, and I still have some left over. So this laptop isn't terribly expensive. So without, like, if you already have a USB-C charger, you can get all the other stuff for it. I've got 3 other videos because I wanted to show like what its features were and then what it's like to stream from it and do stuff like that. Okay, creating Windows 10 media. Cool. I have a feeling this is going to be the longest step. Crypto is the way to go if you don't want to lose the value of whatever it is your currency is, because we are off of any other standard. We're not on the gold standard. And so to give you an idea, 80 trillion, the size of the world market is about 80 trillion. Crypto is about 2 trillion, 2.5 trillion. And that's one of the things that I watch on a regular basis. So if you want to see something cool, this is kind of off topic, but TradingView, I use this quite a bit. Yeah, current estimated total market is 2.842 trillion. Oh, it's not safe in terms of like keeping its value. It's safe from other things, but you have to be careful with it. It's just like it with your bank account. You don't put that shit on the internet. So we're about 50%. But like if you compare this to the total size of the U.S. economy, the U.S. economy is about 20 trillion, and the entire world market is roughly 80 trillion. So this is starting to approach 10% of the total value, or not 10%, but like 5% of the total market value. Once it reaches 10%, we're going to see a lot more adoption. And the key thing that they're building right now is what's called the Lightning Network. Yeah. It is risky if you want to hold on to your money. So this is the coin that I had traded and made me some money. But as of right now, in the US, inflation is up very, very high, and that's concerning to me. So, yeah. Either way. Definitely do not take this as trading advice. If you have money that you are willing to just lose, burn, by all means, but it takes a bit of getting used to and learning how to use it. So there's that. People think that. I used to trade on the stock market all the time. The problem with those type of trades is it takes a very long time to get any return on your investment. So there's multiple ways that you can make money with various strategies. If you're going for long-term growth and you're never going to touch the money that's in there, by all means put it into something like Amazon or whatever. But I mean, honestly, most of these companies could have huge things happen to them, like huge financial suits, but you will do pretty well. Indexes are a good option if you don't want to think about it too hard, and the odds of you beating the market as an individual investor or versus a blue chip, you're not going to get the growth that you want. With inflation, the market is going to follow inflation. So as the value of the US dollar goes down, how about put money into small companies which have the potential to grow? I've done that. So I was a very risky investor. So like risk is not a new thing for me. It's all about mitigating your risk if you want to survive for any period of time in any market. So they have what's called OTC. I did trading in that for a while. I still have like an E-Trade account, and I do trading on whatever markets they have available. And then for my lower risk stuff, I do bonds. I had bonds, and I was surprised that they were going up in terms of percentages. So you can get like because the interest rates are so low, and they're trying to get people to spend money, so the velocity of money in the economy is moving faster. It makes everything look better on paper. Yeah, but finding good investments is kind of what Silicon Valley does. So the venture capital method for doing stuff is how I treat a lot of the cryptocurrencies. I don't think that any one of them is going to be like great. Like, I don't take big positions in any one cryptocurrency. I just take small positions in lots of small cryptocurrencies, which is very similar to how you would balance your portfolio if you were looking at small companies, because small companies are riskier. So like if you have 10 if you were invested in a $1 billion company, just to make the math simple, let's say you're going to take your money and put it in a $1 billion company, and you had $1,000 in it for a stock. It might go up 7 to 13% or 20%. If you go and you put that same $1,000 into 10 smaller companies that have a market cap of 100 million each, the growth rate on those may be negative. One might go to 0. One might go up to 200, 300% of what its value was. So at the end of all of it, you're going to have all of those growth. You're going to have all of those investments adding up to maybe like 30%, but you do have the potential to lose all that money, and that's why risk tolerance is such a big deal. But just to give you an idea, venture capital firms, what they'll do is they'll seed fund companies with all sorts of money. So like it's first round funding, they'll do like 20 million into a small startup company. And what they're doing is they're doing this a strategy where they know only 1 out of 20 is going to make it, but they're hoping that it will go to be like a $1 billion company. So just doing some quick math, if you spend 20 billion or 20 million and the company goes up to 1 billion, that's a 50-fold return on your investment. So even if you had put 20 times 10 company, or 20 into 20 companies, that's 400 million, you'd still make out. So all they have to do is have one company go to $1 billion in order to make their money. So it's by having that sort of risk model, you mitigate a lot of the risk. There's also taking partials if you're talking about investing in a more traditional sense on the market. There's futures trading. There's all sorts of stuff out there. I'm risk adverse when it comes to like loaning and borrowing money. But anyways, yeah, I bought this standing desk and this laptop with the money I made from cryptocurrency. Yeah, risk. So my risk mitigation strategy is pretty simple at this point. If I invest in a crypto and I make $10 on it, I take the $10 profit out and then put it into something that's like a stable coin. And then if I lose 5%, I take the entire investment out. So that means at worst I lose $5 and at best I gain 10. Or at best I gain the initial 10, and then if there's further profits, I'll take those out in the same method. And the whole thing is having like set points where you actually take the money out and you do not bend on it. Those are your rules. You just stick with that, and you try to make it so that you don't lose more than you gain. And even if you're with that risk model, even if you're only 50% right, you're going to make money, because as long as you keep that strategy and you're extremely strict with it, you're going to be okay. And a lot of the larger companies will actually do that type of strategy. They'll take partial profits and then they'll let the ones that are going up like a little bit better than other ones. They'll leave their money in that one, but they'll take a partial profit, which protects them from future losses when they go to sell it. And for a lot of it, it's these are large companies that do this, and a lot of little investors do it as well. But it is all about risk mitigation. There's a lot of people who just YOLO'd their money into GME. And I'm like, that is the dumbest thing. But it's like, sure, I'll throw a couple $100 at it. I'm not going to put my life savings in it. meme stocks are not a good idea either. But anyways, the idea for this stream is to be able to switch between Windows and Linux as fast as I want to using hardware. I know it's not the best way to do it, but I don't really care. I just want to demonstrate this. This is one of the reasons why I got this laptop. They also do they're big on right to repair, so frame.work. They're big on the right to repair. Even more, so I got the DIY edition, which is a little bit cheaper, and it takes almost nothing to install stuff. The reason why I was using Ubuntu is because it was easier to install this wireless card. The drivers already came with the latest version of Ubuntu. The developers kind of planned for that. But if you go to iFixit, and go to Framework, they only have this one model, and I wanted to be like, it's the only one with a repairability of 10 out of 10. Takes absolutely nothing. The other thing that's really cool about these is it's got these ports that you can swap out. So if I press this, I can take that out and then switch this to some other port. And there's 4 of them on this. Okay. Yeah, I think at one point I did the math, but it's kind of fun to go through the math and just figure out what works. And you can do Monte Carlo simulation just to figure out if your strategy is logical or not. And a lot of people use 2-to-1 ratios for win-loss. So if you want to take a 10% profit, the maximum amount of the reasonable thing to do would be to take a maximum loss that's half of that. So when I moved out to California, I was just trading stocks for a living, so not that I had a ton of capital, being whatever age I was, but cost of living got me because I was taking on more risk than I should. I was able to survive for like 9 months before I had to get a job. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I left Gary's mod open and I just went to bed. I completely forgot that I had it on, so. I think I had started it at 9 and I just left it running in the background and I completely forgot about it. Oh, that's that. Let's see if we've got this. No, Cortana, you are not helpful. Who the heck are the folders? Okay, so that's set. Boot EFI auto run. I think that'll work. So I'm just going to unplug it real quick. What we'll do is test this out. So swap over to this other one. So it's got a very similar fit and finish to something like a MacBook, and it's about the same width too, or same depth. So we're gonna see if this works. too late. Get my silly face out of the way there. So we've got this bootable media. So we're going to go ahead and install Windows on this drive. Install now. I don't have a product key. I don't care that much. Windows 10 Home. Go ahead and install Pro. That's just the name of the company. So their website is frame.work. And the whole point was that they're going for more sustainable type model. And they were very concerned about the way that Apple was going. So for instance, Apple uses Torx screws. They don't want you opening anything. In order to replace anything, to repair anything, it's such a pain in the butt. And I can demonstrate that to you if you'd like. But a lot of the developers, they're ex-Apple employees, ex-Google employees, you name it. They ex-HP. Okay, I guess I just tried to install the wrong thing. I guess we'll just go here. We'll just do home. Who cares, right? I accept the license terms. Oh, it's because I'm an idiot. I need to go back. Yes. Install now. So one of the reasons why I'm doing this in a live, like just live, is because it shows you a little bit. They are not copying what Apple or Microsoft did. Microsoft, so this is as open source as you can get. That's part, well, maybe not fully open source, but you can literally get every single one of the parts for it. So you can see we've got my new drive on there, my new Sabrent drive. And we're gonna go ahead and format this one. We'll say next. And I will show you kind of what Apple's done and what a lot of computer companies have done. And there's different degrees of repairability within the industry. This is one of the first ones that's gotten a 10 out of 10 from iFixit. So if you want to replace something like the screen gets broken. I can go and buy the screen either from that company or from another vendor and put it in this machine very easily. Like I can literally take and replace the keyboard in all of about 5 minutes. If I wanted to replace this assembly, I can take all of the individual keys off if I wanted to. If I tried to do the same thing with a MacBook, I would not have the same level of flexibility. So let me just grab my MacBook. So we're just going to get Windows installed here. On the MacBook, we've got a little bit different of a scenario. First and foremost, we do have pentalobe screws, so I need to get out a different kit. So you can see these screws here, right? That's a pentalobe screw. That's custom. So what Apple did, gross. What Apple did is over the years they made it harder to repair your own device, and they want you to go in to the Genius Bar and have them like say, "Oh yeah, that's not repairable," and then you end up getting an upgrade. That is literally what happens to a huge percentage of the people who end up going in there. Let's see. Yeah, doesn't fit. That's because that's not a standard. That's a pentalobe screw. So right away, I can't get into it. This had 5 screws on the back, and they were all self-retaining screws. These, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 screws just to get the bottom of it off. If I wanted to replace the screen on this, I couldn't buy the parts directly. I'd have to go and salvage it. So if you're not familiar with right to repair, I definitely recommend you taking a look at it. So like, I could open this sucker up. I just don't know where my iFixit kit is. So there's that. And now we should be setting up Windows. Yeah, so these guys are literally just a hardware company. They just sell the laptop. They don't include, like, you can buy an operating system with it. I think they allow you to have Windows installed on it. They sell the drives separately, and they're starting to build out their store. But literally you can go and buy these drives from pretty much anywhere, and you can get it running. If you're even remotely tech savvy, this is going to be the easiest way, one of the easiest ways to sort of build a more custom laptop for yourself. The only other thing that I've seen that was like that was called the Terry's laptop. I want to just leave this up until then, but I will show you the Terry's laptop, which is a DIY one that I did about 5 years ago, maybe a little bit longer, 6 years ago. And that was the only other open source laptop. And they had, I still have it. It's in one of my rooms. Because creating your own operating system is kind of a waste of time. There's a lot of good options out there. And you're already going to be competing with the two main players, which is Apple and Microsoft. They're like 90%, they're like way more than 90% of the commercial, like, they're like over 90% of all devices come with it already installed on it. So like, I'm just showing that overall you can go and look at any one of these things. I'm just going to call this like basic setup. No, I don't want to add a second keyboard. Okay. I might have to close. I might have to hide for a second. Okay. Do I not have internet? There. Connect now. It's not detecting the drive. Okay, that's interesting. The other reason why I wanted to do this was to show any issues that I ran into. Yeah, I know I'll need to... Is the network drive not detected? Is that what's happening? It's so dumb. I have to sign in before Microsoft will let me do it. We'll just call it Nate. Close that for a second. Oh my god. Security questions. I'll just end up nuking this. Okay. Who wants to steal my precious laptop? Probably no one. browsing ID. Taylor, no, I don't care about any of this. Okay, we'll just say accept now. I don't want them to be doing anything there. No, I don't want Cortana. Okay, we've got Windows installed with some limited functionality. I'm going to have to go in and figure out what's going on with the network drive. The network drive works in Linux, so like I don't know what's going on. I think it just hasn't updated. So we'll see what happens. It might take a few minutes to figure out how to do this next part. But just for reference, like you saw how quick it was for me to get in there. Maybe you didn't earlier, but I'm going to take it apart a couple other times. Whereas with the MacBook, so we'll just have that going in this side. I think that was a 2014 MacBook 15-inch. Oh, we already got that. Okay. Okay, so we've got that. Maybe later. It's saying that it's having problems with network settings. So we're going to go into network and internet settings. We're going to see what's going on. Troubleshoot. You need to reinstall the driver now. Windows could not find a driver for your network adapter. Okay. Shit. Hold on, we'll get rid of that for a second. And what we'll do is we'll do some quick troubleshooting, see if we can get the correct driver for it. It's an Intel something. I'm going to go and we're going to troubleshoot this real quick. But for example, the MacBook is a 1 out of 10 for repairability. This framework is a 10 out of 10 for repairability. Part of the reason is that they are trying to get you, so Apple will try to get you to upgrade at every possible opportunity because they make more on their new products. Whereas this company is going for a longer term sort of strategy. Also, Apple has like a huge market share because people who like their stuff really like their stuff. Anyways, we're gonna go framework, and we're going to go choose your framework and configure now. I need to look up this thing. So it's the Intel, yeah, it's this thing. So we're just gonna type that out real quick. Wi-Fi 6E AX2110 No V Pro. So I need to go and drivers. So we'll get the drivers set up. Windows 10 drivers. There's 4 drivers available. Windows 10, Windows 10 and Windows 11 Wi-Fi drivers for Windows wireless adapters. View details. Let's see. Download. Accept the license. Okay. And we're going to put this onto that W drive. Show in folder. I'm just going to double check to make sure it's there. It's there. Go ahead and unplug it. That's funny. Linux actually had the correct stuff for me to do that. So we'll just swap over our screen real quick. So just got to plug that in. USB, Wi-Fi, Windows 11. We're going to go ahead and install that, see if that gets rid of our issues with internet. Intel Wi-Fi driver. Yep. Cool, 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 cool. So it's funny because Ubuntu actually already had the driver installed on it. Windows, even though it's like 10 times larger in terms of installation, it didn't have the driver, which is funny. So we're going to go ahead and try this now. I've got Wi-Fi. I'm going to close this so I can sign in. But yeah, we'll be right back up. Intel is the chip manufacturer. So they manufacture various chips. They manufacture wireless chips, they manufacture CPUs. So this is a CPU based, or like this is an Intel system. I actually prefer non-Intel devices, but you know, not always possible to avoid. So this laptop only has only one Wi-Fi adapter that works for it. Well, it has 2 Wi-Fi adapters that work for it, but one of them is a little more pricey, and I ended up going with the cheaper model. So first thing I'm going to do is set up. I don't care if it's recommended by Microsoft. I literally do not care. I don't think I could care less about Microsoft Edge. So first thing I'm going to do, not hard drives. So they produce the silicon. So silicon, which is the processors. Intel produces silicon wafers, and they produce the computer unit, the compute units. Compute unit is what does all of the calculations and allows you to do all sorts of stuff. So they make processors, and they make Wi-Fi cards, and they make graphics cards. They make all sorts of stuff. Intel is a very large company. So Intel and AMD are really the 2 main ones on the market for processors. There's also ARM. ARM is being produced out of Taiwan. So there's TSMC, which is the main fabricator. Because these things are so expensive to make and so difficult to make, there's not a lot of people who do fabrications. So the 2 main fabrications, or the largest manufacturers, are like TSMC. They manufacture chips for both AMD and Intel. But AMD has a lot of their own processing stuff. So you also have Samsung fabrications that work on a 7mm process. So there's a lot of information that can go into it. But there's literally like I think there's like 1 million steps in making a single processor. It might be way less than that, but I just know it's very complicated. I had a lot of friends who had worked in that industry. I'm going to go to Brave. First thing I'm going to do is install Brave browser, because this is dumb. First thing I'm going to do is install Brave, because it's my favorite browser so far. It's the right balance between dealing with it runs quickly. It's based off of Chromium. It's very quick, and it also has built-in ad blocks. So like Intel, for instance, Intel and AMD have recently had sort of a battle. It's been like 10 years or longer since AMD even had a fighting chance, really. But Lisa Su is the main. So like if you wanted to get in terms of like you want to look at some big companies, blue chip stocks, Intel and AMD are both on that list. Okay, so we've got Brave installed. We are good to go. I'm going to make that my default browser. Choose a default web browser. So we're just going to get this thing set up as quickly as possible. I'm not going to think too hard about it. See, it has all these things built in to make you think that Microsoft Edge is a good option. It's not. Okay, so we now have Brave. Brave is installed. What's another thing I would like to install? OBS. I'm going to install OBS, and I'm going to see if I can do a broadcast on the laptop using Windows. I did the same thing with Ubuntu 2 streams ago. So we're going to go here, downloads, get that installed. Should be pretty quick. And I'll switch back to my main laptop. But like, first things that I do when I get a new system is I install what I plan on using on it immediately. The other thing that I'd like to get on here is Atom. That'll take a little bit longer to install, but Atom.io. Next. So I'm going to be streaming from this probably tomorrow. But I'm not going to spend too much time installing programs on here on this right now. I want to showcase the hardware a little bit more. So what we're going to do now. So we've got that. I've noticed you pretty much need 16 gigabytes of RAM nowadays if you want to, like, just for my standards, like, you basically need 16 gigabytes of RAM because 8 doesn't really cut it if you're streaming or doing any sort of gaming. The other thing I'd like to do is get Steam installed. Let's go ahead and get Steam installed real quick. Install Steam. When people say that it's easier to install stuff on Ubuntu and stuff like that, I'm like, not always. Like, it's literally set up to work super simple in Windows. Like, it's pretty much no-brainer. This is why it's one of the default operating systems, not to mention the antitrust suit that they had in the 90s. Run Steam, and then I'll get my... Oh, another thing that I like to do is get extensions installed into Brave. So we'll do... what the heck is the name of it? I can never remember. LastPass. I mean, these are just programs I've used for years. LastPass is pretty good. If you have more than one device, though, it's not good if you're... It's not great because you can't log into multiple devices unless you have a membership, which I bought. I had no problem buying it because I've used it. Actually, we need to go to extensions. Okay. One moment. Get this logged in real quick. And then we need to go to extensions. extensions. So I already logged in real quick. Oh my gosh, it doesn't want to white balance. Turn the brightness down a little bit. Nah, it's not doing shit. Okay. That's unfortunate. I'm basically just trying to find stuff on the web store. We're going to do a quick installation of LastPass. And then after I'm done with that, I'm going to swap it back to the other drive. Just to demonstrate how quick and easy it is. Okay. Come on. The other one that I like to add for an extension is I'm not going to show that again. The other one that I like to do is dark web or dark mode. It's got like the dark fader. Web. Dark mode. I guess dark mode is what you'd call it. High ratings. I don't want to spend too much time on this because it's going to be a lot of me just messing around with the settings. There it is, Dark Reader. This is the one that I like because it does quite a bit. Yep, it's been added to Brave. Super straightforward, super easy. And that's basically what I would do for the initial startup. Get everything set up on there. We've got Steam installed. I could install a game. That might be another good thing to do. But I'm going to swap the drive back to Ubuntu real quick just to demonstrate that this is something that you can do relatively quickly. We installed the Wi-Fi card. That's the one thing that I needed this for. I'm going to unhook that, and then we'll go ahead and close it down, and we'll swap back so that we've got Ubuntu installed. So super straightforward. There we go. So these are captive retention screws with a, I believe, just a Torx bit. Not even like a pentalobe screw. So just to give you an idea of repairability, the pentalobe screws were put in as a patent for anti tampering devices by Apple. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up. You can see we've got this, which opened up a little bit, and we're just going to go like that. Oop. And keep going. Did I get that? I didn't. I missed a screw. No big deal. Okay. So, next thing, pull the tab here, or just let it fall like that. Remove the keyboard, and then since I want to swap out this drive. It's almost like a pit stop because it's so fast. It's ridiculous. Versus like even going into my desktop. This is, I think, as fast, if not faster, than getting into my desktop. Okay, and that's it. That's all I need to do. So we've got Windows uninstalled because all I had to do was swap that. Set this place on there, nice and even. I still have to plug it in though. So it's got magnets for retaining. There's magnets, so there's little magnets. See these? These are magnets, and they help with retaining and making it very easy to plug the laptop back in. Oh, also, if I wanted to replace the memory, just have to do that here. You can see there's QR codes for it as well. So it'll tell you exactly what fits your system. But this is one of the key features that I wanted to have on a new laptop, because if I wanted to mess around with a new system on the actual hardware, rather than going into a virtual machine, I could do it quickly. Let's make sure that's in. The other thing, I don't know if you saw it earlier, Hikaru. So they have these little modules. So you have to press down pretty hard, but in order to remove them. So these little modules, this one's a micro SD, and it interfaces with the case using USB-C. And all you do to plug in a new module is press it in, and that's it. And it literally uses, like it's got 4 ports. I put HDMI, USB-C, micro USB, and just regular USB Type A. But we're going to go ahead and open this sucker back up, or turn this sucker back on. So you can see we've got Ubuntu on there. And we're back to Ubuntu that quick. So if I wanted to have some secure drive, I could literally have it encrypted and in my pocket. Yeah, that's fine. Connect. I should still have everything installed, so one moment. So if I wanted to switch back and forth, I would want to make it so that it's relatively easy. Obviously, since I uninstalled it, it's going to try to reconfigure the system, but it should have all the files that I had on there. This is just one of the test cases that I wanted to try out. So it might not be as quick as I thought it was going to be, but still, once you get it set up the way you like, you know, you just kind of lock it in. all the software should still be installed because it's the same drive. It's not quite as plug and playable as I thought it was going to be, which is unfortunate, but it's not. I just thought it would be cool if I could do that. So there's probably a way to set it up. I just haven't thought about it that much. So it's going to restart. Hide my keys here. Yeah, so I already have Brave installed on this one. I still have all my other things that I installed, like NetBeans, Discord, Brave, let's see what else, Steam. All that stuff is still on here. OBS is still on here. Yeah, the only thing is it might make you reconfigure. So, just to demonstrate one more time, I'll swap back over from Linux to Windows super duper quick. I'm gonna keep it with so one of the things that I'm a little weirded out by is the fact that it uses USB-C for charging. I mean, it's not a problem, it's just weird to me because I've never had a USB-C charger. So we'll just update this super quick, and then we'll go back to Windows, install some benchmarking software, and then see what the performance is on Windows. So both of these drives, they're not exactly the same, but they're pretty similar. One of them is a Sabrent NVMe PCI 2280 SD, and it's 512. And then there's the Rocket Q versus Rocket NVMe. I think these ones are a little bit higher quality. Can't remember though. They're pretty similar. I just think one of them is a little bit higher quality than the other. Better read-write speeds. But you can see we're already back up and running. It took less than 5 minutes to get that all taken care of. And yeah, it's a pain in the butt to go through and do configurations. The other thing you can do is do a live boot, so I'm not going to demonstrate that. I'm going to go back to Windows because that's what I said I was doing today. So we'll just go ahead and shut it back down. Power, log out. Actually, cancel. Power off. So we'll just power off. And we'll swap that out. So, just get ready for this. Install this. Same sort of thing. We've got one that's Ubuntu. Just say you were working in a work environment and you wanted to switch between your work PC and your desktop, like your non-work PC. This might be a really good option for data security. So, unplug it. Same thing as before. I just thought this would be a cool, technology demonstration. Of course, live booting is infinitely easier. almost done. Oops. Okay. So you can see this. There's a gap right there. Get that away from the magnets. Go ahead and unplug the keyboard. And reverse the order. Plug in cord. Oop. Don't want to do that too many times. Just love the little mechanical action that happens when you set it down. And yeah, I know I should have an anti-static glove on or something. Don't really care. I've been in contact with it the whole time. If you haven't noticed, I'm not moving around. The amount of static I've built up is pretty minimal. That is how you can fry stuff, though. So, that's pretty much it. We'll see if Windows requires me to go through some sort of configuration. But that is how quick it is to swap over between drives. No problem. But if you had like multiple installations of Windows, obviously I wouldn't have the same problem. I don't remember my password. So now we're going to install some Steam stuff. So there might be a few moments where I need to find my my phone with my passwords on it. I'll be right back. Oh, that wasn't very far. So, pardon me for switching back and forth so much, but I'm going to go ahead and log into my account, open up Brave, use the LastPass. Oh my gosh, it's just not, okay. Oop. Okay. I'm sure Steam is like, what the hell? This guy's been on 3 different computers in the last day. So we'll get that taken care of. Did I get it? I got it. Cool. So, should be able to install a couple of benchmarks. Wait, did it just not? Yeah. So Steam just logged in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the library and I'm going to install. I'm going to install something like PC. I think PC Mark. PC Mark. Yeah, I have PC Mark and I have 3D Mark. I'll go through and do both of those. I probably should plug it back in. I think battery management is probably going to be better on Windows, but I won't know until I test it. That might be just like a really long stream where I just am on it. And then the other one was 3D Mark. So 3D Mark and PC Mark are probably going to be the 2 benchmarks that I try out just to get an idea of what the performance level is of this hardware. With Linux, you have some limitations that you don't have with Windows in terms of gaming. In terms of performance, though, I think you're on par, if not a little bit better on Linux, unless their drivers are worse, which can also be a problem. But my sort of proof of concept already worked partially. If I wanted to run multiple Windows accounts on this one PC and I wanted to make sure one of them was secure, I could encrypt it, take it out of the physically take it out of the computer and put something else in very easily. So from a security perspective, there is the possibility that this is a good option for you. A little pricey, but so 3D Mark can already be run. We'll see what scores it gets. I'll just sit here for a minute. But like to get you an idea of how long it takes to do this stuff, it takes about an hour to install the hard drive and RAM. If you're very, very slow, like I did everything in under 40 minutes with Linux. Actually, no, it took me about an hour and a half because I had to reinstall Linux because Ubuntu, the version they had, didn't have the wireless card on there properly. I'm going to switch over to something a little less chill. Go to something like chiptune. That's taking a while. Okay, I guess 3D Mark is still also waiting. Oh, these guys screwed up the levels on this song. I don't think it's showing up properly. Huh. Of how it's chill station. Rock, pretzels. Properties. Cancel. Oh, I never changed this one. That's why. That's silly. Okay. One moment. That's fine. Okay. I'm gonna have to add what did I call that? That was game capture, window capture, window capture. So exciting. Say window capture. Window capture. So window capture. Sorry for the lack of music. I know this is kind of a boring way to do this. So we're gonna just go. This is a very behind the scenes episode. Edit transform, and then I guess this like 1200. And then from the top, we're going to crop 900. Nope. Just get it closer. This is probably the least interesting stream I've done in a while. But whatever, it's all good. I don't care that much. It's unfortunate. Okay, close. And then we'll just move this over here and make it bigger. And then extend that up. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So PC Mark is now installing. We'll see what we'll see what we get out of it. And so I've already ran Ubuntu on it for roughly about a week, just a little under a week, I would say. And okay, I might have to go back to chill, but yeah, in terms of overall process, like, it's very easy to swap drives. It's very easy to add RAM, remove RAM, and you could potentially replace anything if it were broken. So here's the use case, I think, for it. The use case would be for large companies that just want something that's going to work and is easy to replace. So the reason I was showing the Windows drive today was so if there was an issue with somebody's computer, they could literally pull another computer out, take the hard drive from that other computer, throw it in. It's exactly the same. The only difference being that they changed the drive on it, and they could walk away and run with it instantly. So, like, if you're in a large institution, this might be a really viable option versus like MacBooks or Lenovo. Lenovo is pretty good, but it's not nearly as good as this is for like how easy it is to swap parts. So let me just okay, we'll just do that, and I guess I'll get my butt over here. So in terms of the aspect ratio, it's a little weird because it's not 16 by 9, so that's a little different. It should do pretty well for PC Mark based on what I've seen, but that's the plan. Just do the test. It'll take about 20 minutes and I'll just be chilling out. So if you're watching this in the future, you should be able to skip forward. But I want to give people a realistic idea of what it's like if they're trying to do stuff on this laptop. Because the trackpad's pretty decent. It's a large trackpad. So like, this is a large trackpad. My hand is pretty big, and that's a big trackpad. It's not like the best trackpad I've ever used, but it's on par with what I would expect from like a mid-level laptop. In terms of effort, if you're reluctant to mess with hardware, this is a really good first introduction to dealing with any sort of hardware. And it will give you some power in the future if you're like, oh yeah, I know how to do that. But definitely look at the reviews of other laptops, because you can get decent performance. I'd say there's a premium on this because they made it so easy to replace. And I think that premium's probably around a $200 detriment. But the fact that you can basically get rid of that detriment by switching over, by just switching over to something like to installing it yourself. It's very easy to install it yourself. If you haven't caught the other streams, or if you haven't seen the other videos, I do have them. It's like first impressions. It's literally on my channel, and it will say framework right in the title. Okay, now I'm falling asleep. Yeah, if you are not familiar with Right to Repair, definitely look into it. You'll probably see Louis Rossmann, and you'll probably see Linus Tech Tips and Marcus Brownlee, as well as Richard Biltz. Richard Biltz is my favorite. He's hilarious. But yeah, these are all people who have dealt with the ramifications of right to repair issues. So Richard Biltz works on Teslas, and Louis Rossmann works on MacBooks. Linus from Linus Tech Tips has been around for a while, and he's actually bought into the company. Okay, so we're gonna just see. I don't feel like switching over to the OBS on this one, so we're going to run 3D Mark first. Just launch it, see what happens. And I'll see if I can get this sucker to focus. Grab a piece of paper, maybe. Did that work? Oh my god, if that works. Surprise Pikachu face. I like the keyboard on it too. It's very similar to the MacBook, which I like the keyboards on those. The only keyboard that I like more is the Lenovo, like the little E131. And like if you're gonna go with another type of keyboard, like a mechanical keyboard. Vocals. The vocals, dude. It screws me up so much. Switch over. Okay. Wildlife Extreme. Cross-platform testing. Okay. More installation. Ooh, exciting. Exciting stuff. Okay, Wildlife Extreme is the cross-platform test for mobile computing. We'll see how it performs. I think the processor on it's pretty dang decent. So if we go in, while that's downloading, I'm just going to look at something else. We're going to look at... Use Brave real quick. Framework. And I got the cheapest one. So I got... Well, I brought my own memory. I got the i5 135G3. It's an 8-core processor, and it's got decent specs from what I remember. So we're going to go to CPU benchmark. CPU benchmark. That's exactly what I'm looking for. User benchmark. Effective speed. 273rd. Poor. 52%. Yeah. That's for a desktop. Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it runs. I'll switch over real quick. So this processor is also, I believe, oh, that's actually not bad. It's 73% to support wildlife. To support, why is it crashing? Does it not have a dedicated graphics card? Is that what's going on? Results. Home benchmarks. Stress test. The recommended benchmark for this system. Run. It's collecting system info. Let's see what happens. I have a feeling I'm not going to have good results with this, just because 3D Mark is way more intensive and is a GPU intensive type of deal. An error occurred. Yeah, I'm not going to fuck with this too much. Yeah, I'm done. Not going to worry about it. Let's go to PC Mark. PC Mark's probably the more appropriate one, because that's what I'm going to use it for. I'm going to use it for watching TV. Basically, I'm going to use it for Netflix, and I'm going to use it for video conferencing, and I'm going to test it out tomorrow for streaming. Use through Windows. PC Mark, it'll go through a bunch of various tests, including like a conference call type simulator. PC Mark Express. No, we'll do a full test. We'll do the full test. Complete benchmark for the modern office. Your hardware. Wait, what did that say? Your hardware is not compatible. Yeah, you need a GPU. Okay, well, I guess we'll go back to benchmarks. Boom. I guess we'll just run the short test. Please wait while benchmarks are running. Close anything that will affect the score. think people realize how tedious this stuff is, and that's why they prefer the edited videos. But whatever, it's all good. I'd rather just show what my experience is. Yeah. They're not actually saying anything. Oh, getting all sorts of streaking issues. That's not good. That's not good. It's probably going to get super hot too. Now running video conferencing. It's interesting.
It's not exactly clear whether they even truly exist or could be shown to.
Oh my god.
In the physical universe.
I need to go to instrumental.
If one day physics finds a use for them.
Yeah, that doesn't look like that on my desktop. that benchmark doesn't look the same on my desktop. My desktop is significantly more powerful than this machine. It's kind of to be expected, though. And that's like the most extreme version I've seen. It's high-res footage, uncompressed. So we're going to get a few more things. If I could play indie games on it, that'd be cool, but I mean, this isn't really meant for that. It's meant for doing computing, like basic computing. I mean, people say like, oh, $1,000 for a laptop. Yeah, it's expensive. That's interesting. Yeah, it's not anywhere near the performance you'd get out of something with its own dedicated GPU. I have a feeling they're not going to do that for another couple of years. The demand for it isn't as high, especially with the GPU shortage at the moment.
Yeah.
So exciting. The footage is a little bit choppier than what you'd expect with something that has like its own dedicated GPU. And I think that's pretty normal. So, I mean, there's a few different systems that are pretty decent. This is definitely more of like not a high-end laptop. It's like what you'd expect if you were. I don't know. I guess I'm more of a power. Like, I use a lot of resources when I'm on stuff. So like, one of the things that I can do is upgrade the RAM, and that'll make a difference. But for right now, I'm just gonna put the bare minimum for RAM, which I think is 8 gigs at this point. Like, in terms of resources, Ubuntu was running like 2.5 gigs of RAM just with a single web browser open. I checked it yesterday, and this is probably going to be at like closer to 3 or 4 gigabytes of RAM would be my expectations. I don't want to mess with it until it's done with the benchmark, but it's one of those things where you really get a good idea of how much waste is put into these newer operating systems. There's some out there that are really high, like small. That's why I really like Bodhi Linux. Bodhi Linux is very, very lightweight. It's not as lightweight as some of the other ones like Puppy Linux or what was the other one? Very small. I think it's called like very, very small Linux. But overall, I really like the using this laptop, because what ends up happening is it's so similar of a layout to what you have on the MacBook. Let me just do a quick comparison side by side of the keyboards. So, key spacing. Key spacing is pretty much identical. Home row. Just side by side. Just side by side. You can tell where they got their keyboard from. I actually like this one a little bit better because it's got a slightly better, more compact layout, which means you can type on it easier. You can type faster. Ah, GIMP. Yeah, Ubuntu is pretty much on par with Windows at this point in terms of bloat. Compatibility issues with your graphics card might be an issue if you are trying something else, but I think it's hilarious that the Wi-Fi driver worked fine on Ubuntu. Granted, it was my second attempt of installing it. It was a known issue. Not even halfway through. Okay. I'll be back in a few minutes. So we'll see how far this gets today. It's almost done. That burrito I had today was very good. There's food trucks. Okay. Can't wait to try streaming on it again. Because I had some drop frames when I tried streaming on this PC when it was Ubuntu. We'll see if the support is a little bit better. I'm not going to think too hard about it though. Almost done. There it is. PC Mark 10 Express. We've got 4061. I don't know if that's any good. Okay, where's the issue? Compare. Or I guess review results online. Generic VGA Intel Core 1135 G7 processor. Chat score essentials. Not great, but also kind of expected. This is 40% better than all results, and that's versus like a gaming laptop. What? Gaming laptop 2020. Definitely not a gaming laptop. I think that's generous. Intel Core i7 1065 G7 Lenovo. So you can see it's not going to be the most powerful thing. Better than 40%. I also went with the cheapest one, so let's take a look and see how much that laptop would cost. So I'm just going to swap over real quick. Because if we're doing performance per dollar, that's the only real way to measure it. So we're going to do a comparison. Intel Core. Okay, so Lenovo. LNVNB 1216. Yeah, similar price point. Yeah, basically, you'd have to go and spend. It's in the right price point. I mean, you're going to pay a little bit more for this particular laptop because it's got the. Well, I've got a way larger PCI Express. That's shit for memory. The fact that it's soldered is shit. You won't actually be able to upgrade that. 1135 G7, which is what I think this one has, right? 1135 G7? That's what it said. Yeah, 1135. So it's got the same processor. Huh. Very interesting. Well, you learn something new every day. Still. This is what that was. Add to compare.
Don't be afraid to borrow. Chord progressions, sounds.
I really don't like this artist.
Just
That's
snatch
funny.
'em all up.
I just don't like him because he adds these stupid little things in there. I have in there that it's instrumentals. Whatever. Anyways, that's pretty much it for the stream. I mean, hopefully y'all enjoyed it. I mean, it's pretty quick to swap out drives. With Windows, it appears that they're basically not hot swappable, but you just turn off the power, plop in a new drive, and you're good to go. So if you're running similar hardware, it's a no-brainer if you're in an environment where you need that type of versatility. I would say if you're looking for options, if you were in an institution, I would be reluctant because Framework is a new company, and they're not going to take care of this stuff for you. But since they made it so easy to repair in the infrastructure, I mean, maybe that's something to consider. It would be something that I would consider if I had like 5 or 6 employees working for me. I'd buy 5 or 6 laptops, install the same thing, and have one spare one ready to go. So if one of them failed, you just plop in the drive, swap over the drive, swap over the RAM, and then fix the other one. Very, very easy from a maintenance perspective. Not that that happens all the time, but for what it is, it'll more than do what I need. And like I said, I'm mostly going to be programming, listening, watching videos, and doing maybe some light gaming. So I guess the last thing I can do, I'm going to do one more thing, and that is install Full Throttle on this one as well. Yeah, why not? And we'll get out of here. Excuse me. Go to library. Why is it showing me only that? I think Full Throttle is totally playable on this PC. I probably can't stream it at the same time. We'll find out tomorrow or in the next couple of days. I will try streaming from this PC running Windows, and we'll see how unflattering my face looks close up and with a shitty webcam. I mean, it's not even that bad of a webcam. But I really think it's cool that they added in the features like having a hardware switch for the webcam and for the microphone. Yeah, it looks like it's going to take a minute, so. Man, that burrito. Very good. I have to go to that place more often. It just takes a little bit longer. It takes about 10 minutes to get your food. Not that it's super slow. But the fact that you drive to it and then you have to wait. Yeah, since that's not loading just yet, I guess I'll pause it, start it. Yeah. It's saying it's going to take an hour. Yeah, I'm calling it a day. Hopefully you all have a good rest of your day. And if you found it interesting, go ahead and say so in the comments, or give a thumbs up. If you didn't, go ahead and give it a thumbs down. Won't be any skin off my back. I just like to actually show how much time it takes to do stuff, because it gives you a way better idea, because I'm not going to edit this. I'm not going to go back and edit it. I have no intention of doing that. And that requires time, which I do not have. Well, I have the time. I'm just not going to do it because I'm lazy. Anyways, peace.